Hello and a warm welcome to everyone. You are watching the Mint CX Conversations. In line with this, let's delve into today's topic, which is doubling down on customer service for market growth. We'll cover how organizations today look at customer service as an enabler of growth. Well, as we begin, I will just set a bit of a context here. Well, today's customers are smart and brands have to step up to meet their needs. Earlier, customers based their decisions on seeing the product on the shelf or suggestions from social circles, but they are much more thorough in their approach now. Most customers research the products and services beforehand and compare prices online even while in the store. So, just to give some numbers, 89% of respondents to the Zendesk CS Trend Report 2022 stated that they prefer companies that allow them to find answers without having to contact anyone. This makes digital or virtual customer service a key factor in a company's growth. But regardless of its size, every company can benefit from a well tailored CX strategy. 64% of business leaders say that customer service has had a positive impact on their company's growth, with 56% prioritizing it within their strategy for the year. So, we'll discuss all these and other factors that make investments in customer service an absolute requirement for organizations striving for growth. For this, please join me in welcoming Archie Jackson, Senior Director, Head of IT in Sedo Incorporation, Saurav Gujnani, CIO, PeopleStrong Technologies Private Limited, Naveen Parker, Head of Operations, Milk Basket, Nitesh Saxena, Head of Customer Service Operations and Experience, Upstocks, and Vasudeva Rao Munnaluri, RVP, India and SARC, Zendex. Well, today I have with me an extremely erudite lineup of thought leaders from various business domains to talk on this topic. We welcome you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And with this, my first question is to you, Saurabh. Well, in today's times, the focus has shifted from selling products to selling experiences in brands, as we discussed, right? So, brands can no longer ignore customer experience. In fact, customers' experience is projected to overtake price and product as the key brand differentiator in the near future. So, can you please share your thoughts on this?
Sure. So as rightfully said, this is a predominant ask from today itself. If we talk about the new age, techies or new age people or anyone who is in the industry, the product has to speak for itself, and that is how you envision the growth of a product. So if you are coming up with a product and want to have people use it, at the end of the day, it is gonna be experience. You go to Instagram, you move to Facebooks and different chat apps of the world, but the end of the day you will surface back to a platform which gives you the best of the customer experience, or best of the experience you want to have from that particular thing. And the same goes for the other sides of the e-commerce. You talk about Flipkart, Amazon, or the Mintras of the world. In a similar fashion, if we talk about that, we are in an industry where we are selling products. As we being people strong, we are an HTech suite product. We are coming up with an application which is mobile based. People have to come to the app, so your application has to be so much intuitive where end user would like to come back to it. And that is how we look into the numbers and see that what is our monthly adoption unit, in terms of number of people who are coming back to us. That's more predominant to us, and that is why we also target and understand the NPS score. So all in all, as you mentioned, customer experience is way above the other things. No matter you build the best of the functionalities, you build the best of the product suite, but till the time it is not much adaptive for an end user who may not be a tech savvy, but his predominant ask is to go to the application and do a punch in or a punch out, or to go to the application to look for his salary slip, or to do a interview feedback survey. So it has to be so generic and intuitive for a person to come back. And that is how we recently launched an application called Super App. So it's an amalgamation of 3 or 4 products of our vertical lines coming into one particular application to give an overall experience in one go, where people can do their performance goals, do a learning, do attendance, do payrolls and stuff like that. And it is pretty much intuitive in terms of colors and all. And just like a new age, e-commerce platform, or other platform which are very much intuitive. So yes, customer experience is way above anything. And for that, if you have to have extra expense being paid in terms of your tech suite or your UX suite, or to build your customer success management platforms and all, yes, it is the predominant need for you to sustain in the industry.
Sure, sort of very well, articulated there. I mean, when you say that, everybody cannot be a PhD, a techie there, tech savvy there. So you have to sort of consider all of those while designing it.
Correct.
Absolutely. With this, I'll come to Naveen. So, Naveen, your team at Milk Basket deliver more than 1 lakh orders every morning, and each delivery is accompanied by a stream of messages tracking its status for customer and seeking feedback. Where do you place customer experience in your organization's SOPs? Naveen, over to you.
Yeah, the model that Milk Basket has, delivery model that Milk Basket has, we do not follow this too many mails and messages, about the status update, order tracking. Like other e-commerce company, whenever you place an order, you get an email and message that your order has been placed. Then next status message like, your order has been dispatched, your order has been delivered, and then one more mail and message to get the feedback. Milk Basket does not have that usage. The reason is because the lead time is very small. We take the order till 12 in the midnight, and we give the commitment that we will deliver before 7 a.m. in the morning. Even if we try to give this tracking and messages to the customer is sleeping at the home. There is no use of sending all these messages. What customer want is, Milk Basket is committing delivery before 7 a.m. Customer wants that order should be delivered before 7 a.m. If messages are coming, he's getting the tracking or not, it doesn't matter. Just customer wants right item in right quantity at right time in right quality. That's what Milk Basket is doing. And to take the second part of the question, where Milk Basket is keeping customer experience when designing the SOP, a very basic question that what is the main objective of any organization? The main objective of any organization, many people say, is that to become a market leader. Some people say to create the impact on the society and give back to the society. The main objective of any organization is to make money. And how you make the money? When you create some product or service which is accepted by the people in the society, and they are willing to pay for that, and that in a very large number. You rightly mentioned in the beginning of the this conversation that today companies are not selling the product, they are trying to sell the service. Milk Basket from the beginning is saying that we are not some e-commerce grocery delivery company. We are delivering convenience to the customer. Customer get the convenience from the point when he's doing the orders. We have make this order process complete hassle free. Every time you do not have to check out from the to confirm your order. You just come to the app, you add the item into your cart, and till 12 midnight you can make n number of changes in your cart. You do not have to cancel anything. You can make n number of changes in the cart. Whatever is there in the cart till 12 midnight, that will be converted into the order, and you will get the order next day in the morning. So I would say even a 2 year 3 year old kid can also place the order in the Milk Basket, which is not in the case when they have to place the order in any other platform. So yes, we are giving the convenience to the customer starting from the placing the order, and then again at 7 a.m. in the morning when we are delivering. Definitely, we cannot contact with the customer. It's just like a contactless delivery Milk Basket is doing for last 7 years. This concept came mostly after pandemic, but Milk Basket has adopted this contactless delivery for last 7 years. From the day Milk Basket started the delivery, we cannot do the attended delivery. We have to do the silent delivery, contactless delivery, because we cannot wake up the customer at 5 a.m. in the morning. So when Milk Basket 2.5 years back made such a wonderful service product that and we feel that we should capture the market at a very fast growth. But somewhere in between we've identified that in that process somewhere the customer is left behind. This is 2.5 years back. And then management, Milk Basket team immediately identified and realized that we have to keep the customer on the priority, because our customer experience was little went for a toss that time. So we thought that, okay, let's take a pause, let's build all the process from the scratch again. And we kept the customer at the center, and around that we derived all the policies, we derived all the processes, be it operation strategies, business strategies, any tech product changes, customer care services. So we went back to the basics, like we are starting once again, we are starting some new business, and that time we keep customer at the center point. Today also customer is the topmost priority for us. Even the delivery executive who's doing the pick pack and delivery operation, from there he has that sense that customer is first, and whatever order the customer has delivered, it should be has ordered, it should be delivered at right time, in the right quantity and in the right quality. So yes, we are keeping customer as the center point. And I think most of the companies right now, they are keeping customer as the center point. If you do not build your product or business keeping customer into consideration, it will not be able to sustain for a longer time.
Absolutely, Naveen. I mean, great to hear from you how you actually sort of bring in so much of, innovations in the entire process to cater to the customers. Great to know all that has gone into actually make, just not innovate on the product front, but to, come up at par when it comes to customer experience. Thanks, Naveen. And with this, I'll move on to Nitesh. Nitesh, your perspective, I mean, for business, we're seeing customer experiences emerging as the one major factor in establishing market differentiation. And, consumers are seeking personalized experiences at every touch point of the journey. So, right from the stage of research to purchase, right, after sales support and advocacy. So, can you share your customer experience journey at Upstocks?
So, Momita, I think I'll go back to what you had very initially mentioned, that in one of your research, which was done by Zendesk, a majority of the customers prefer organizations wherein they don't need to contact anyone. Or, and the way we translate it is that it should be an effortless journey for a customer. So our CX journey this year has been completely dedicated to that one thought, that we need to reduce the customer's effort, and we need to reduce that need for customer to contact us for any reasons. Either those fallouts should be completely eliminated and customer should not be experiencing them, or if we have any processes wherein they need to contact us, they need to become self-serve so that the customer can go through that journey themselves, get a very quick response to that, and get that answer so that they can move on to the next step. We are in a market which is real time, so people are looking at that equity market, people are looking at that uh, the equity market, and they need to move really really fast. So in our case, that speed is very very important, and for no reason the customer should get stuck before making that decision, and that's because of us. So that's been the CX journey this year, wherein we've been extremely successful in reducing our customer contact rates by over 50%, while the organization has, or the subscriber base has gone up by almost like 8 or 9 times. So this has been an extremely huge uh, achievement for us so far, wherein we are becoming that effortless organization for the customer. And if I go back to that sentence of here again, I think we will fall into that bracket which the customer would prefer, that there is lesser and lesser amount of effort required while working along with Upstocks as a service provider, and hence we should become that pertinent choice for the customers.
Absolutely. I mean, great sum to have. I mean, when the revenues are going up, customers are coming less to you with their complaints. I mean, great one to, add up there. And with this, I'll go to Archie now. Archie, in today's hyper-connected world, where internet and mobile data has penetrated into almost every home, customers interact with a brand, at various touch points. So, how can organizations use tech as an enabler to meet the changing demand of the modern day consumer?
Thank you. Very prominent question for the current digital age. There is We see businesses are transforming, but businesses are transforming like anything. And if you look back to any vertical which has been operating, let's say healthcare, agriculture, travel, every industry has moved into a transformational journey, and that's all in the digital track. Now, since there is a, I mean, and that is primarily for multiple reasons. One is to be competitive in the market. Otherwise, somebody else will uh, cannibalize the business. I use the term from the book Winning in the Digital Age. That's a very prominent book written by Nitin Seth. So it's better to cannibalize our own business than anybody else cannibalize it. So that's how we look at the vision to transform our business. And not only from the transformation standpoint, from the customer's journey standpoint as well, making sure we are rightly focused on the customer's need. As the transformation is happening, customers, and then with the pandemic, which has again been a catalyst of the transformation into the digital aspect, digital track. Uh, these these um, uh, these catalysts around the customer experience, which is customer needs to be periodically updated. There may be spot checks around the NPS satisfaction. Social media has been a very prominent experience
कुछ मीटिंग चल रही
place
है, बाहर चले जाओ
where
प्लीज.
people there may be a lot of social media updates which may be coming up from various customers. So organizations from the marketing aspect, from the customer experience aspect, they're also looking at the social media that's sharing the information and also around the experiences. Thirdly, if we talk about the NPS, the NPS is again earlier it has been a part of, it has been derived from Six Sigma, but or Lean we can call that. But the NPS identification of Net Promoter Score is through various different methods nowadays. It's through various dipsticks. It could be through various periodic forums and looking at I mean, there's no one single channel through which we can collect information and experience of the customer. Now, with two major pillars of digital transformation, second pillar, which is from various different sources, we are getting the customer experience and feedback. Thirdly, how do we merge these two things and make sure the right customer experience is delivered from any business standpoint? If you look at the hotel industry or the hospitality industry, or if you're into travel, that experience coming in conjunction with partnership with various different service providers. For example, let's say you're at a particular airport, you're uh, you're new to a particular place, you just landed, and then suddenly you get notifications that there is a bookstore out there, there is a cab waiting, this is the place you can get your cab, taxis and all. So that's enhancement of the customer experience and uh, utilizing the entire digital ecosystem in identifying the aspects, the ways through which we can get feedback and make sure customer is rightly and timely updated and getting the right experience. I mean,
And I think
there's
this is
very
so
thin line.
important, especially today, because everybody, this enhancement of customer experience is so important today because everybody is time starved. So this is so important in today's scenario. The work scenario that we are in. Absolutely.
Absolutely, thank you. And there is also a very thin line between this experience then a nuisance or annoyance, because if you keep on, I mean, as there has been an experience on like during the midnight, if you're sending the text updating, although the customer experience, the intent is good to make sure the customer is aware about the delivery in the morning at 7 a.m., but it may be an annoyance as well. So it's completely around the environment and the ecosystem which we are looking at the customer experience and cultivating it.
Sure. Thank you so much, Achi, for that. And with this, I'll come to Vasudeva now. Well, Vasudeva, one of the major trends from Zendesk CS report was that 89% of respondents stated that they prefer companies that allow them to find answers without having to contact anyone. So if you look at traditional purchase behavior, this is a new trend where customers are looking at self-service and virtually assisted purchases. So can you share some of the use cases where organizations have invested in virtual CX and reaped dividends in terms of market growth?
Sure. Thank you for having me here first, and thank you for very valuable insights from my peers on this call. It's been a great 2 years actually. I would say the way the digital transformation has picked up. While everybody had it on the cards, but I think the pandemic sort of played a catalyst and fast tracked this entire thing. And you see more and more customers moving towards digital buying behavior as we speak. And so at the same time, in addition to that, there is another statistics that I would want to share. Very interesting is that about 50% companies feel that they will see a 25% increase in customer engagement. That means, as we stand today, with nothing changing, the number of interactions with the customers is going to be increased dramatically by about 25%. But the flip side is, do we have that many agents that are able to support that kind of interactions going in? Because there's always a mismatch in between, the number of interactions happening, how quickly you can bring in agents, how quickly you can train them, how can you, bring them up to speed, kind of a thing, right? So with that in mind, a lot of companies are actually preferring to move towards something called self-service. And when I mean self-service can actually cut across help centers, or it can cut across chatbots, AI-based chatbots, or it could cut across communities, where people can help themselves for the most simple and the medium complexity kind of queries. When I want to just go and give one of the practical, some simple examples, how do I configure a mobile app kind of this thing, or how do I configure, I'm into long running training, so definitely I depend on smartwatches, right? So when you buy a smartwatch, it just tells you how to configure it, but then how do you use those things? It's never available. You don't want to contact an agent and asking for some of these things. So there are articles available on the help centers which you can use. Simple things like how do I reset my password? Where can I find my account statement? I have forgotten my username. How do I reset it? How do I recharge my mobile wallet? These are very, very simple use cases for which you definitely don't want to pass it on to an agent who's one of the most costliest of your resource in terms of serving your customer. So what typically some of these customers do, and I've seen this happening, is they analyze the kind of queries that are coming in, and then they try to move some of these simple queries into a help center where the customer, when he reaches, gets an answer all by himself. If he's able to solve it there, well, very good. Otherwise, if it is not, and if it's a little complex, that is when the query or the request goes into an agent who actually picks it up and then solves the problem. Now, I want to give an example out here. It's an edtech company, and one of the most popular ones. And during the pandemic, just as the pandemic was hitting, and each one of us were logged into our own homes, they started to see a 2.5 times increase in the number of requests coming into them. About 1200% increase in support tickets from the parents, and about 750% increase in tickets coming from teachers. The teachers wanted to contact them, and it could be very simple thing as how do I configure my system, where do I log in, how do I find information. But remember one thing, that was also the period when the contact center agents were not available. There were nobody who was sitting in a contact center. Everybody was at homes, in the confines of their homes. How do you support them? So from a self-service perspective, Khan Academy came with two brilliant strategies. One was having a very content-rich help center for them to be able to update, which they got updated on multiple languages, English, Spanish, Portuguese, kind of this thing. The second approach is slightly less intuitive, but they relied on something called a community of their own parents, their own students. They created that community amongst them. So whenever a question was raised, they could go to the help center. If not, then there was a community which is able to answer. And the third thing is, if not, then it was going to the agent, so that your dependency on the agents was very, very limited. So in particular, what they've seen is when a request was raised by any parent or a teacher, actually, on an average, there was at least 3 responses in the community trying to solve that problem. So it sort of created a very great environment for themselves. And despite such a huge increase in the number of requests that are coming either from the parents or teachers, from students, they still were able to manage with the same set of whatever infrastructure they had.
I think that brought in a lot of involvement from all stakeholders as well, right? So that's pretty interesting. With this, I'll again go to Naveen. Naveen, in your business of food delivery, customer feedback plays a very important role when it comes to both quality of product and the shape, form, and time frame in which they are delivered. So, how do you leverage tools of communication feedback to ensure the highest levels of quality and service? If you would want to elaborate on this.
Of course, the customer feedback plays an important role, especially when we are dealing in the categories which are highly perishables. We deal in the morning milk delivery, fruits and vegetables delivery, breakfast items like bread and eggs. So all these are highly perishable items. So and of course, we are doing early morning deliveries and contactless delivery. So we should make a platform, or we should be very agile to develop platform where we can make efficient and fast customer interaction, be it from milk basket side or from the customer side. I'll give you an example regarding this. Like when the pandemic came, and we all were confused that what is going to happen, and the administration, all these, they started taking decision on a random basis. uh, if we have to deliver the order to the customer's door, we have to reach till customer door early in the morning. But what happened is most of the societies, RWAs, they restricted the entry into the society. Like COVID protocol, they have their own COVID protocols. Like some societies were allowing us to go till customer's door. Some societies are saying, you cannot go to the customer door. You can reach up to the tower level. Some societies are saying you have to do the delivery at the society main gate. You cannot enter to the society. So this is very difficult for any business model if all of a sudden their operation model or supply chain model has changed like this. And early morning we cannot call the customer, we cannot interact the customer. So what we did is, we make a product in a way that the person who is going for the delivery uh, from the operational app, he can choose the option whatever kind of deliveries are allowed by the RWS, and the same communication can be goes to the customer, and customer can provide a feedback also on that part, whether even after receiving that communication, customer get the order or not, or if customer facing some other problem. So this is one part. Second part is of course, other than this, on a daily basis we are getting many queries from the customer. And right now we have multiple options like WhatsApp, text messages, emails. But we have not opted for any of these channel. We again here try to make it very convenient and very effortless for a customer. Like if customer has any query, or faced any problem, or if the customer wants to provide any feedback related to the quality of the product or the service, the customer can come to the app. And we have one help section, self help section there. Mr. Vasu mentioned about that. If that is something many companies are doing, where they are giving this customer a self help type of features. So the customer can come there, raise the issue, any fulfillment related issue we are capturing through that self help section. Then again, there are few queries where customer has other queries related to the address change issues, or any promotional activities that the company is doing. So then there is another option on the app where customer can go into the chat. The first part is again, uh, the we cannot put a lot of agents to handle individual chats. So major part we try to solve through the chat bots. A generic or most prominent queries we are solving through the chat box. And after that, 10-15% problems where customer did not find any satisfied solution, then comes the next phase where customer can contact and on the chat a live agent comes and do the live chat with the customer. and try to solve the problem. In fact, even after that, if problem is not solved, the customer can ask for the callback option. That also so that is the last stage. So if the problem is not solved, and hardly 2 or 3% problems are going up to that stage where customer has to opt for the callback option. Other than that, we have an email ID which we have given to all our customers at the time of customer acquisition, that still if you have any other issue which you want to highlight or any feedback that you want to share with us, you can send an email to us. And the customer today, they are very active on the social medias also. So our team is very active on social media and always finding a lot of customers sharing positive as well as criticizing us if there is any problem with the service that they are getting. So we are keeping an eye on those part also. And we are collecting all these data, and we are always trying to see how we can minimize these customer problems and how can we improve the customer experience. The second part is of course customer service, the kind of service, to the kind of experience that you are providing to the customer has a direct impact on your order growth as well as on your revenue growth. And we take the help of data, whatever data that we are collecting from all these platforms that I mentioned, and we use a lot of dashboards to analyze and see how can we improve upon this. And we are acquiring new customer, but one good thing about Milk Basket has, once we acquire the customer, the area in which we are in, these are the daily essential need. And there are many customers who are doing all 30-day orders from the Milk Basket. So if I talk about the average frequency, around one customer is doing average 14 orders in a month from the Milk Basket. So definitely it so to acquire new customer, to ramp up the growth, it is more important for us to stop the churn. The customer should not leave our platform, so we should provide that level of customer experience to the customer, that acquiring customer, our more focus is on stopping the churn than to acquire the new customer. And this assure that we achieve order as well as revenue growth.
Absolutely. Great to learn that. I mean, it's really interesting to know how much goes into it, right, to build this entire customer experience phenomena. With this, I'll come to Nitesh now. Uh, Nitesh, conversational messaging is the new buzzword, right? In a world where the customer is king and organizations want to leverage the power of technology to improve CX at various touch points across customer lifecycle. So, how can improved interactions with customers help, personify brand image and serve as a friendly check on customer well-being and satisfaction?
So, Mamita, I think as an impact of the pandemic, uh, three S's that have become prominent in designing CX journey is sensitivity, speed, and scale. And I think this will kind of resonate with what Vasudeva was talking earlier. That when you have disruptions, it becomes very difficult to manage that scale and manage that scale with certain level of sensitivity and speed. And that's where I think conversational AI is that new tech which is extremely important. And I personally feel it should be embraced by as many organizations as they can, because it helps you create that first line of defense, wherein like we heard from the gentleman from Milk Basket, that the bots are able to take over whatever is the first level of query. Or like Vasudev was mentioning, that in Unacademy's example, that all the responses or that were required, there were already three community responses that were available for them. Now if all of that can be built into that conversational AI ecosystem, then that creates a very very effective first line defense from a customer service operations perspective, wherein you are freeing up the most important resource that you have is your agent, and you're creating that very sensitive and very speedworthy response for the customer. Wherein in these times, I think uh, what everyone is expecting is an instant gratification. I have a question and I need a very quick response to it. or I have a service request for which I need a very quick turnaround time, because then I need to move on to something else. What we need to understand is that while a customer is interacting with your organization, he or she will have other areas as well, wherein they will have to get in touch with someone else, and they cannot dedicate or devote that kind of a time with a single organization. So that speed is required, and like I said, in these disruptive times, you need to deal with certain sensitivity. And that's where, if you get into that conversational mode with your customers, wherein your bots can become sensitive, where they can start identifying intents at a very, very minutest of level, and then create the response that needs to go out. Take that very take that decision very methodology, in a very method based basis, that this has now become a complex query, and without wasting time, I need to get a human agent involved into it, so that this can create that lasting positive impression with the customer. That's extremely important, and that's where that whole conversational piece comes into picture. And like I said, it's very important that you have that sensitivity, speed, and scale built into your whole service organization.
Absolutely, can't agree less on this point. Uh, Very well said. And with this as an extension of this question, I'll just go to Archie now. And Archie would want to understand from you. Smart tech like AI, ML, and are leveraging the power of data analytics to redefine customer experience strategies in real time, and be a step ahead rather than just meeting the needs of customers and being available to handle customer queries, as we discussed, even outside of business hours, and something tech-led support can do better than customer service teams. So can you share some use cases here?
Sure. So, very again important point around business hours and non-business hours. Actually, that has been now traditional and legacy. With the pandemic and also the way businesses operates now, it's there is nothing as business hours or operations like start of business, because just like the tagline of one of the banks, which say X doesn't sleeps. So likewise, it's none of the business should sleep at any particular point. It should be operating either in the background or functioning in the foreground. With what I mean by background and foreground is either there may be some hours of operations, very rightly. I mean, that would be the business hours. Let's say if it is a hotel business or a restaurant business. However, the background business, which is making sure 24 hours the the customer experience, the feedback, the updates, the progress, the planning, everything is executed. Now, some of the use cases that I could talk about, one of the fellow members was talking about the conversational AI. In addition to conversational AIs, there are a lot of transformation that are happening, and as we are speaking, there is transformation happening in technology. There is transformation happening in the business. I'll give a real-time transformational example, which many of the industry leaders may not be aware at this moment. There is a complete transformation that is expected in a coming next say 24 less than 24 months, which is migration of cable-based or wireless communication to a satellite-based communication. If we are watching the news, if we are aware about the technology that is being transforming, it's already happening. So the undersea cables and all of those would no longer be there. As an example, it would be all through satellite, which is Starlink based, or there may be Blue Origin, there may be anything. So the communication would be direct. Now, what does that mean? When the communication is direct, the transformation also happens with into the cloud-based environments. And then Microsoft has already partnered with Starlink as we speak. Likewise, Google has already partnered with Starlink for their cloud experience, which also means organization will completely move away from that zone system, which is having a specific zone of, let's say, United States, Europe, and all of those. It would be all open global with a standard latency. Instead of having a latency, let's say from India to Singapore versus India to US, there would be a standard latency which would be globally standard fixed throughout. And now, what does this mean when we join these dots? When we join these dots, it also means with these partnerships, there is expected to be mobile data centers. Instead of stationary on-premise data centers, there are expected to be mobile data centers. And with these three combinations as a use case, uh, internet connectivity would reach out to the areas where internet hasn't gone before, exploring lot of avenues into agriculture, a lot of avenues in terms of skill sets, a lot of avenues in terms of connectivity. With such example, what does this mean from the user experience or the customer experience standpoint? From the customer experience standpoint, there may be, let's say, there may be the kind of audience that this would be catering to. It may be from vivid areas. They may be from FMGCs. They may be agriculturals. They may be farmers. There may be technological experts, educationists. Education may go to miles into different suburban areas. So what this can cater as a use case is embedding. I mean, lot of other avenues, lot of use cases can be further developed, and there are companies, there are organizations which are already working in such experiences and creating such experiences with the help of analytics, with the help of AI, predictive, what all that can help help the prospective customers or the future generated customers, not only the existing customers but from the future generated customers as well. This is one use case. There are multiples that we can talk of. Yeah.
Sure, Ji. Great to hear that futuristic conversation. I just hope that, given the scenario, we are already, treading the path of development, technologically. So we just hope that we really walk the talk and make things really happen. And with this, I'll come to Saurav. Saurav, your thoughts on this, probably uh, any comment that you want to add to this? You want to speak about anything, any enhancement that you look into?
You're talking specifically to the concept which Archie was talking about.
No, I'm just in general, CX.
Okay,
Anything.
in general, as I mentioned in the start itself, and everyone has spoken about that. Uh, there is no other way to survive in the industry. Until unless you have a customer experience. The customer experience can also be within your organizations where you're serving the internal functions like the HRs, the admins, or any vertical. It is all about enhancing the customer experience on the ground where where the customer will be your end users. How can you make your life easy in this new normal? If I'm sitting at my home and I'm having a laptop, and somehow my my charger got burnt and stuff like that, how can you help me out on a fast pace? Whether I can have a framework where I can purchase something online and get it delivered on their doorstep, without hampering their BAU task. Because if I'm saving on their work, I'm at least adding to the business in terms of some productivity. So thinking about a new mechanism where you can help it out on having a best a support case based scenarios with the partners you are working in terms of any technology, where you can say it is an enhanced productive hours, where they are available to you at just a call away. Because it can be anything in the new normal. If it is not impacting, just like you might be your MPLS is down, or your lease line is down, it can impact the complete VPN. If VPN is down, your complete techies who are building the product at the home, because this is new normal. I cannot say that they are available only between 9 to 5. If we are thinking about giving them the leeway to add more to the work, similarly we can think about the work they want to. So he might be working at 12:30 in the night or 2:30 in the morning. Up to them. We don't do micromanagement, but we understand that the services has to be available 24/7, 365 days, because it is the experience they want in the new age. Because they are the new techies or the new age people, or we call it as Gen Z. They want the best of the services at their disposable, so that they can build something which we really want to push in the market to give them the experience. And as Vineet was talking about, at the end of the day, it is the end user. If that person likes your product, he she will automatically will add value to you. No, we are a B2B for sure. So it is again the same fact that if X client is liking my product, it is gonna be my add to my NPS. It is gonna be my prospective, or gonna help me in terms of having a prospective customer where I can say that Vineet is my my customer and he can speak volume for my work. And on the other hand, if my experience is not good, or if my strategy is not good enough, where I am being not readily available to understand his problem or his team's problem on the ground, and being passionate enough, being compassionate enough to give them that environment where, say, you have a problem, I understand that, but I'm always available to fix that up, and giving them a timelines and coming up with a response is just like an empathy which you give. So all in all, it is all experience which you give, because products are available in the industry, things are available in the industry. The fact is the fact that if you will survive only when you are compassionate, when you have a customer experience, when you have the technology to give it to the end user. It can be your internal people, it can be your business people, it can be your leadership, it can be the prospective customers. All in all, it's all about a game of a customer experience and understanding their needs and giving them the best you can.
Right, great statement to make here, Saurav. And with this, I'll move to Vasudeva. Vasudeva, customer service hubs have traditionally been seen as people and cost intensive centers, right? Advancements in these areas have helped down significantly with the bottom line in the past. How far are we today from customer service becoming an avenue of growth, and not only from customer delight standpoint?
You know, very apt question here. More and more customers today are buying online, and we've heard from everyone on the panel as well. Customers are looking for a better experience. There is transformation, which Archie talked about, very futuristic. Felt like I was watching a futuristic movie, but then that's a reality. And there is transformation happening every day. The customers today want to interact with the businesses exactly the way that they want to interact in their personal lives. They're interacting in their personal lives from the confines of their homes. They want to interact at a time of their choice, on a channel of their choice, and they expect the branch or the business to respond to them on those channels and at those times. So there is no, as my colleague was saying, that it's not about 9 to 5. It's now become 24/7. What and how are the businesses going to come back to them is a question. So one of the statistics, again, I'm going to rely on a couple of statistics out here. One of them says, support requests have increased 14% from last year. Whether it be helping fixing a laptop, or where is my product getting delivered, what's happened to my refund status, my invoice is not correct, how can we rectify it, whatever those questions could be, whatever those requests coming from them. The number of requests have gone, that predominantly because the number of customers that are coming online is also increasing on a daily basis. Number of businesses becoming digital is increasing on a daily basis, right? At the same time, about 61% of customers will not hesitate to leave a brand with just one bad experience, right? So customer service becomes extremely important to two factors. And as Naveen was also mentioning, there are two aspects. One is, how do I acquire more new customers? The second is, how do I retain my customers and upsell and cross sell to them, so that I'm able to increase my revenue and my growth, right? Those two aspects are very important for us. But when you look at the support organizations, are they funded? Because while the number of requests going up, you're not, the question in front of is, the budgets are not increasing. And about 30% of the companies plan to increase budgets. I mean, that means a whole number of about 70% of the customers are not even looking at, do we increase our support budgets in line with the increase in the number of agent requests, the number of requests that are coming from the customer side, number of agents that are required on our side to be able to solve that. So they expect the teams to do more with less, right? Then the question that comes to us is, should we hire more agents? Should we improve the training, or should we implement better technologies? Each of these questions have their own merits, but there are trade-offs as well. That is something as leaders we need to answer. What is best in the interest of the organization, what is best in the interest of the customers to be able to do that. Now, it also says that about globally, 1 in 3 companies still view customer service as a cost center. The flip side is it's 46% in case of India. That means majority companies in India still treat customers contact centers or support as a cost center. However, uh, we also know that about high performers, almost 8 times they go to see customer service as an enabler, and it's about 8 times that they see it to help customers. Right now, to do this, what they would need to do is, they need to train their agents, and they can also improve their product, their services at the same time. And there are 2 or 3 opportunities that I see out here. One is cross sell, the other is upsell, a third is a retention. If the contact centers are trained, the agents are trained to be able to do these three things, it's going to help organizations in a better way of delivering a better customer service, and also convert that into from being a cost center to a revenue enabler. Right? I want to give an example. I've been a credit card customer with an ex bank for almost 15 years now. You know, they've their agents are so well trained that in case that I have a very good interaction with them and a very satisfied interaction with them, end of the call they come and say, sir, you have a pre-approved loan on your credit card or your debit card, would you like to leverage that? He's getting converted from a service agent to a sales kind of an agent, but at the same time he's not being very salesy on this. But at the same time, there were instances where there were certain fraud transactions, and I had called them, and I was pretty irate in those cases. They were very clear that towards the end of the call, they did not push this kind of message to me, right? So there is a possibility to transform these centers into revenue enablers, I would call that. But at the same time, the support agents are supposed to be doing the job which their remit, which is supporting the customers, be empathetic with them, and solve the queries and resolutions, not sound too salesy on this. That's my thoughts.
Absolutely, Vasudeva. But in context with your views, I will just probably I'll also sum up with this question. Would want to understand, social commerce and messaging platforms are some of the most upcoming highlights of the customer journeys now. Also, as mentioned by the other panelists here. So, how can organizations ensure that they utilize these for the benefit of customers without customers turning out?
Yeah, so interesting, and I think it ties up with the conversational commerce that we were talking about a little while ago, right? Again, WhatsApp usage has increased about 154% since the outbreak of the pandemic. So that means, there are a lot many people are conversing on the WhatsApp. Nowadays, you see the amount of the number of companies or brands that are actually adopting WhatsApp as a channel to interact with the customers, whether it is be for sales or whether it is be for marketing promotions or whether it is be for customer service. You see them. I remember last week I was talking to one of my OTT providers. There was a query about some channels not working or some issue with the OTT box. They said, do you use WhatsApp? I said, of course I do use WhatsApp. They said, after this call is done, we will send you a request. Please accept, and you can actually raise a service request on the WhatsApp. So one of the days when I need to wait on an IVR for a few minutes to maybe half an hour's kind of this thing where I keep pressing the buttons, and then so there is annoying music which says your X number in the queue kind of for this thing, right? So at the same time, customers also accept flexibility, right? So messaging is one thing which delivers that flexibility. It's asynchronous versus live conversations, whether it be on a live chat, whether it be on a phone, kind of for this thing. So the customer is able to ask questions at a time of his choice. And also remember one thing, that the attention span of the customers have reduced, of individuals like us has reduced dramatically, right? It's somewhere I was reading, it said that the attention span is about 8 seconds. And that's pretty fast. And one example that I want to give is, I was on a grocery app, and I had an issue, and I was talking to them on a chat capability. It was there in the app, and then I saw that I'm in number 2 in the queue or number 3 in the queue. So I went to another application and came back to the application after some time. I had to restart the entire conversation, right? So that led to a bad experience because I had to repeat everything that I had entered earlier. They lost the context. Yeah. So the thing is, channels, social commerce, social messaging is absolutely important, and messaging is by default is becoming very common, and and WhatsApp is one of the channels that is being led. I have got a couple of points that I would want to talk about. Is as businesses, they should possibly look at what's the most preferred channel in the region. I mean, for example, in some countries it could be Line could be a very popular channel. In some countries, WhatsApp could be a popular channel. So pick up a channel of choice which is most relevant. At the same time, which is more relevant for the industry also. For example, a B2B would not want to be on Instagram, but a B2C needs to be on Instagram. So that's a channel that they would want to prefer. And the bots need to collect relevant information and apt information so that it can respond back uh, to those queries, and at a point of time it should be able to hand off to a physical agent with the conversation history, so that the customer does not need to repeat. And at the same time, the agent is also knowing that this is what has happened, and he can pick it up from that point of time. Because about 54% of the people get annoyed with when they're asked for too much of information. Again, statistics based on whatever reports that we have generated, speaking to customers and to our customers and to the end users. And I would also say that embed your messaging inside your web and mobile properties, and integrate your messaging into in your customer service application to your e-commerce or your booking system or your backend system, so that that information is available straight up onto or onto the WhatsApp or to the bots or to the AI or to the self-service kind of a thing. So basically what I'm saying is, do not transfer your IVR into a chatbots or to AI messaging kind of a thing, because that's quite annoying. Limit, be intelligent, collect as much information that is very relevant and apt, and then be able to provide service onto the customers across these channels.
Absolutely, Vasudeva. Well, thank you so much. With this, we'll wrap up this session. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today and sharing all the insights and knowledge with us. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Thank
for having us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you.